Chelsea, you're starting.
No, what am I saying?
Hi parents, we are here tonight with the awesome first grade team. They are here to give you an update about what's going on in first grade for this semester, and as well to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in to the live feed so we can answer them for you. And I'm going to turn it over to our amazing first grade teachers.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
Then I have
Miss Kingsolver.
Miss Lex.
Miss Grubbs.
and we teach first grade to your students.
Yay.
And so we basically had a few friends in the audience that will take questions at the end. Firstly, just going over some dates. The first one that's coming up is February 8th. Will be our 101st day of school. Kinder will celebrate 100 and we'll do 101. And there's an email sent to you with a sign up for items that we are requesting so that we can have this basically palooza of things going on for that. And then, of course, we'll talk about the early release day of February 9th, the day after, where we will have parent-teacher conferences in the afternoon. I know that I have a sign-up genius that has gone out and already got a lot of response there. And of course, all of us will have availability on that day. So contact your teacher. And
Conferences are from 1 to 6 p.m.
thank you for that. And I guess you want to go ahead with the next.
All right. And our Friendship Week is coming up. It is February 12th to the 16th. We are going to be sending out an email with the different days, the themes for the different days. Monday is Mathletes versus Athletes. Tuesday is Topsy-Turvy. Wednesday is We're On This Together. Thursday, Totally Tubular Thursday. And then Friday is Flashback Friday. So look for an email for that.
That
The
Friday
email
is
explains
really-
further of
Yes.
how the
Yeah.
students can dress up and participate with the different themes.
And on that day, it's pretty busy. That Friday is also Donuts with Dad and the class parties. Be aware that it's not actually on Valentine's Day, on the Friday of the week, just so you are clear on when to send goodies and things like that.
Yep. And then February 19th is a student holiday, so don't bring your kids. We will be at training. And
We have work, but your
Yes.
kids don't.
Let's see. Star practice. That was it.
Yeah.
But do we
Okay,
that day and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a closed
Yeah.
building, I think, right? It's for STAR practice?
Yes.
So just so you're aware, even though first graders don't participate in the STAR test, February 20th to the 28th, the older grades will be participating in STAR practice, so it's a closed building. That means that you're not able to volunteer in the classrooms those days or have lunch with your child on Friday. We want to keep it as close to the real STAR as possible for those older grades so they get used to and comfortable with how things will go. On March 1st, that is a Thursday, we will be celebrating Dr. Seuss Day with a readathon in the classroom. Dr. Seuss's birthday is actually March 2nd, but your students have a holiday that day where there is not school. So we will be celebrating it on March 1st. It's a Thursday. And as these dates get closer, look for more information coming out to you then. And then in the middle of the March 12th through 16th, we have spring break. And Ms. Grubbs will help us with the rest of the calendar.
March 23rd is the end of the third 9 weeks. March 30th is a student holiday, so they have no school
For Good Friday.
for Good Friday. April 10th through 11th is the actual STAR for 4th and 5th, so again, you're not allowed in the building for lunch or volunteering. And then May 10th is going to be Muffins with Mom. And again, look for more information as that gets closer.
More STAR. May 14th through 16th. It's a Monday through Wednesday, so that won't affect your Friday lunch that week.
That's the real deal for
Sorry.
3rd through 5th grade. So any parents with 3rd graders, they're going to be on that week.
And then May 28th is Memorial Day, so it's also a holiday, no school. May 30th is Field Day, and then
Yeah, and then June 1st, right?
That's just teachers.
Oh, no. May 31st is...
May 31st
Yeah, May
is
31st
kids. Last
is...
day, early
yeah.
release.
kids' last day of school, early release, and end of year class parties.
I call y'all are going through the whole semester.
Yeah, just in case you were curious
Yeah,
of
we're
all the awesomeness coming up.
but it is something that it's getting shorter and shorter.
Oh, yeah, for
So-
sure.
And February is an explosion of
Yes.
all kinds of
Look for lots of emails in February.
Absolutely. Okay, and then
I have a question for you guys.
Sure.
About parent-teacher conferences. What do you expect as teachers to gain from parent-teacher conferences, from the teacher perspective?
From the teacher's perspective, I hope to gain a really good relationship between the parent, student, and myself, so that we can all come together to support whatever their child's needs are, whether that be some challenging work for GT kids or if we have some intervention work for kids that are struggling, just so that we're all on the same page, giving them ideas of how to help at home, showing them ways that we help in the classroom so that it's all very cohesive. And I like to also hear about what's coming up in your child's life. If they have a soccer game coming up or if they just joined dance or something. It's also a good way to check in with parents and see how the kids are doing outside of school.
it's really nice to meet with parents of students who hadn't been here at the beginning of the year to experience that first parent-teacher conference so that they can get to know the teacher a little bit better. They are really brief. I wanted to make mention. I am going to be timing myself because I like to talk a lot. So don't be offended when my timer is going. That's
We
to
all
keep
do
me
that.
straight, not so I can kick you out. It's so I can keep myself on track, or we'll be talking for days.
And I know we do it in 10-minute increments, so if you do have something that you want to discuss in more detail or length, just email us and set up a different time if you need an extended conference.
Do you guys have any questions for the first grade team?
Yeah, hey studio audience, throwing it to you.
Before we get into
Do you-
the curriculum part of
Can I
what's coming
turn?
up,
Can I turn the camera on?
Yeah,
you?
like, hey guys, y'all look great, like, yay!
feature audience,
You need your glasses, right, teacher?
Oh, there's
come
awesome.
on down, number 5.
Yeah, I had one question. The spelling words. Is there a way that parents can get the spelling words ahead of time to help with the students? Because I've noticed just with Caitlin, her tests aren't bad, but they aren't great either. But I know that she's not really comprehending where I feel she needs to be with that. So is there any way that parents can get the spelling words ahead of time? We can go over with them so they'll know exactly what it's used for, articulate what it is, and exactly how to use it and spell it correctly?
Vocabulary words, yes. Unfortunately, with the way that our phonics program works, it's actually better for your student not to have the spelling list ahead of time because then they're purely memorizing the list for the test. They're not memorizing those spelling rules and those vowel pairings and things like that. We go over them every morning in class as well as sinners. So we don't like to send home those spelling lists because then the kids are just pushed so hard, the night before the spelling test to memorize it. They're not really soaking in all of those rules and
So you can't give them out, is that what you're saying?
That's how
They
the
can't
program's
do
set
that?
up, yeah. So the program is specifically set up to where you practice the words in class, and there's rules that you go over every day. And so then when it comes to the spelling tests, when we are saying the spelling test, we are using those rules that they've learned in the classroom. So that is district-wide, that's within the curriculum, is that it's set up to not send the list home. That's why we went away from the Journeys list and we adopted Saxon Phonics.
Okay, so what will I need to do with Caitlin, because her spelling tests are not great at all, and I'm pretty sure the words are not comprehending well because she doesn't know a lot of them. So whatever's going on, I think is not working for her. Otherwise, I would see better outcome, and I'm not seeing it.
we could certainly add those spelling rules that we're going over into our weekly newsletter. So hey, this week we're going to be focusing on ER words, and you can just talk about those words that might have that sound in it that are, first grade words. Or hey, we're going over short vowel sounds and practice those at home. Because it's not just about that one word that's on the spelling list. She's also going to be using those rules and those sounds throughout all of our writing assignments through the week and all of our phonics pages that we do every morning.
Do those spelling words come from the 200 sight words, or are these from different words?
They're from our Saxon Phonics curriculum.
So they are
Yeah,
from
the
that.
sight
Okay.
words are usually exceptions to the rules that we're actually teaching them.
Yeah.
So the sight words are special friends that just have most of the time no rhyme or reason necessarily to the letter pairing, so that's why they call them sight words. You should see them and recognize them because the rules that we're teaching don't necessarily fit to those words. So that's why there's a difference in sight words versus the spelling words.
Kind of to give you an example, like for this week we focused on the Y can copycat vowel sounds. And so in a one syllable word, when it ends in a Y, that Y is going to make an I sound. But in a two or more syllable word, that Y is going to make an E sound, with the exception of some of our sight words, like many and any are only one syllables, but they have that E sound at the end. So sight words are rules that aren't following the spelling patterns, that we want to look at them and just automatically know, hey, this is how I spell it, this is how I read it, this is what it sounds like. And then their spelling words are going to focus on those phonics and spelling patterns that we're focusing on.
Okay. So the sight words help more on
Reading
focus on
fluency,
reading.
yes, reading
And
fluency.
the spelling words focus on more the phonic sounds of words. Okay.
Because if the students aren't familiar with the sight words and then we go to test them on a reading passage, they're wanting to sound that out, focusing on those rules that they've learned, but they don't sound like the rule. So the sight words are fluency, flashcards, those kinds of things, really quick recognition. It works best with those.
Okay.
Do the kids know that the sight words are the exceptions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk about how this one is kind of a squirrely word, or we kind of make sure that they're aware that there's
Okay.
exceptions, because there's always a kid who will be like, we're talking about, you know, ending in E sound. They're like, what about the word Y?
Yeah,
It doesn't
Austin's
really
quizzed
work
me
with
on the
that,
way home from
so-
school several times, and I'm embarrassed. I was an English major, but I'd forgotten so much. So it's like, I don't know. It's just one of the tricky things about the English language goes.
Yeah.
So I don't always
And-
have the explanation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in the morning meetings we do, when we're going over the rule and when we're going over the phonics lesson, a lot of times the kids will actually say words that are the exceptions, and then that gives us a chance to talk about, well, it sounds like that, but that's the exception.
And we have those moments too. Today we were learning IGH and someone said kite. And I was like, well, it sounds exactly like light, but it's not spelled the same. And I'll get back to you on why, because I'm not 100%
Let me just go
sure.
check.
Yeah. Yeah, we have those moments
Everybody's
too.
ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other?
No, not right now so far.
And then were you guys going to talk about,
We're kind of going to talk
Curriculum.
about what we're learning
Awesome.
from now until May.
go for it.
Okay.
Over the next several weeks in science, we're going to be learning day, night, and seasons, and then also objects in the sky. So like the stars, the moon, different phases of the moon, and also about the sun, and then different kinds of clouds as well.
And in social studies, coming up, right now we've been learning about American symbols and American traditions and being patriotic. And then coming up, we're going to be talking about presidents. In first grade, we focus on Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. And then we'll dive into a little bit of Black History Month. The students learn about Ruby Bridges, Martin Luther King, George Washington Carver, and Rosa Parks in first grade. And that's kind of a little bit about social studies.
In math, right now we're focusing on addition and subtraction word problems. And later on, closer to March and April, we'll start talking about time and money. Those are two subjects that a lot of kids tend to struggle with. So if you could start talking about it now with your kids, have them count money, have them tell you the time. And we focus on,
Hour and half
hour and half hour, thank you. Yes. So start talking to your kids about that now so that when we start in March talking about time and money, they're already familiar with it.
And on an analog clock,
Yes,
not just
analog.
the digital clock.
Yes.
And we count coins up to $1.
Yes.
So don't worry about the bills yet.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
coins.
Okay, and then in language arts, we're obviously still going to be working on our writing, making sure that we're writing complete sentences, capital letter, punctuation, that kind of thing, and forming paragraphs and stories that are cohesive, and then also be touching on some reading techniques like our sequencing and things like that we've talked about before, but we'll visit again with new text. And then, what else could we say? Basically, more and more fluency practice and working on being better readers and more independent on that side.
And just make sure, every night you're sitting down with your child and, read a bedtime story. Make sure that you are reading with them every night. It does help.
And when our Journeys curriculum is over, at the end of the year, we usually focus on fairy tales and folk tales, because those aren't covered a lot throughout our curriculum. And then we also introduce poetry to first graders. Yep, that's curriculum.
That's it. Oh, there we go. Question
No
from the
question.
audience.
So, neither my husband and I are tremendous fans of our current president, and Austin has picked up on that, and he has referred to him as the bad president several times, and I have said, that's great, you can refer to him as the bad president, but you have to be able to make your own decision, so you have to tell me why you think he's bad, not just because why mommy and daddy think he's bad. So how do I go about doing that without inundating him? Like how do I introduce him to current events without taking him onto ABC News or CNN or getting into concepts that are too big?
I feel like you can do that in just regular conversation. At this point, you're introducing a lot of things that are, for you and I, the same way, when you're talking to your child, like, I can't believe you don't already know that, because I know it so well. And you're like, I don't actually remember someone sitting down and teaching me this.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times you can quench the curiosity very superficially. And I'd say that because there are a lot of things that are just really just not
Yes.
for
Yes.
first grade little hearts to take. So you always kind of monitor what you are wanting to involve him in, and if there are topics that are like near and dear to your family's heart, then you would talk about those things more, obviously. But we do.
How
Out of-
do we, like, if he wants to find out about like what's going on with the presidency though, like what do you guys have any suggestions?
We've used sites in the past. I know that sometimes they do have a membership fee. Like there's Scholastic News is great
Okay.
for kids. National Geographic Kids has some news parts to it, as well as there's some kids search engines. So when you're on that search engine, you're only going to get kid-friendly information. One that we use often is KidRex.
KidRex, yeah. KidRex?
KidRex, REX, like a
Okay.
T-Rex.
Okay.
I don't know why I pretended to be a T-Rex now, but yeah. We do a lot
You can
of
teach first graders. That's cool.
superficial current event things through a program called Pebble Go as well that
Okay.
we use in the classroom. And then again, that would be a subscription that you would have to purchase to have access at home. But that doesn't have super current information. I think
Yeah,
it only
it's-
goes up to Obama in the biographies. So it unfortunately doesn't talk about what's super current. But it does have a lot of, and it was an easy way to approach, like, this week we learned about tornadoes and hurricanes and tsunamis, which can be kind of scary and overwhelming for a 6-year-old. So it's very kid-friendly language. It actually reads to them, so if they're not able to read it themselves.
Or they-
It's come up several times in our family, so I had to ask the question. Like,
There's also another website. It's called News ELA for elementary, and I think it's geared more starting at second grade. So depending on the reading level of the student, but it's all news articles that are based on current events. Like it's updating almost every day with things that are going on. So that might be another resource as well.
And I know that there's also a Google site that's just for kids. Koogle, I think, Kollgle. And so that may pull up some other sites just for kids as well. That would be good.
Do we have any questions from
No, there are no questions from the audience or from the viewers at home.
viewers at home? What else can we talk about? We talked about
the-
Did you guys you talked about the 101st day?
Mhm.
Did you
We
expand
can go into
on
more
it?
detail.
Yeah.
So it's the first year we're trying it. We've always done, well, not we,
First
I say
grade.
we, first grade. I don't know. As long as I've been teaching first grade, it was 6 years. We've been doing the 100th day of school, which is great and awesome, and the kids love it. But it's kind of repetitive to what they do in kindergarten. So this year we thought we would adopt the 101st day being first grade. So we're going to focus more on STEM challenges. The kids are going to have 101 cups that they have to stock. In different patterns and forms. They're going to have marshmallows and toothpicks, and they have to make a little Dalmatian and a doggy house out of them that has to like stand up on its own. They're going to, with straws and tape, make a barrier to prevent the Dalmatian being captured by Cruella de Vil. It's all kind of tied into the 101 Dalmatians. And your student is also able to dress like a Dalmatian dog for the day, which is also kind of an easier costume than an old lady would be. But, you know, just a white shirt, draw some black Sharpie marker on it, paint your nose black. We're gonna make a hat, but if you want to pre-make some ears at home, that's fine too. Have a tail, you know, whatever creative bit you can think of. What else are we doing? We're making 101st
trail mix.
day trail mix. We played around with silly names for it, like Kibbles and Bits or Puppy Chow or something. I don't know. What else? We're throwing in a writing portion too. We just haven't 100% decided on it yet. 101%.
But it's
decided
gonna be a
on it.
really fun day. Your kids are gonna
It'll
love
be
it.
chock a block full.
We're excited.
Yeah, and then the next day, of course, is half day, so we'll do fun stuff on that morning too to get ready for conferences and things. And what time is early release?
11:50.
11:50.
11:50. And then
Yes, because late.
conferences start at 1. Do you guys have any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
I know, like last year, you know, we had Dojo, we did the pictures, and even in 3rd grade, I forgot exactly what we did the pictures on. But are we going to be able to see more pictures? Because in Dojo, we don't really see any pictures of activities going on. And since the parents don't come to activities, are they really going to be able to see them? The activities that they do, like you all have these type of events, so you all going to take pictures and we can see them?
I don't know if you're signed up for, I know that I have a class Instagram and so does Miss Lux. I don't know if you're signed up for the class Instagram. Okay, so pictures will be posted there
They're
for
on
my
there?
class.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
As well as recently, we've been really good about giving pictures to Miss Amani,
Yes.
so that if the child is on the approved photo list, she can post them out through the Facebook and
Facebook.
Twitter
Mhm.
accounts as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen it. I just haven't seen a lot of 1st grade pictures. I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of pictures, but I haven't seen a lot of
Yeah,
1st
she
grade.
picks and chooses what to put
Okay.
on there, so some weeks it will be 1st grade, some weeks it won't be.
Okay.
Yeah, mine are always on Class Dojo, so
Okay.
that's my
your
jam.
thing. Yeah.
So
That's a good one, yeah.
that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
I had Instagram. I was like, I can't figure this out. I need dummy-proof stuff, and Clash Dojo does it for me. So
We do have a couple of questions that have come in. The first question is from Candace, and she wants to know about field trips.
Okay. So Candace, we had a really awesome, super fun field trip to the zoo in the fall. Our spring field trip is still under works, and so when we know information, we will let parents know as soon as possible. But I know in the years past, we haven't taken a spring field trip until late April, early May. So.
and it's usually for weather purposes because it gets to be kind of weird. You can't plan for an outdoor thing, and inside 1st graders are like, "Hey, I need to be outside," so that's usually a better time. We try to fit it into also curriculum, and we try to make sure it's a good day for it.
And admin likes us to be out of the building when they're doing stars. So
Yes, exactly.
we also try and plan the field trip on a star day
And I was
too.
going to say that, and I was like, I don't know if we should do both. Like, we're getting kicked out. No, just kidding.
And then we have another question from Kyle. Is there any notification sent out when after-school activities are canceled?
As far as like tutoring or club,
I would assume, yeah.
I think
If-
maybe, I know, because school-wide, you would receive it through
Yeah.
school messenger.
right?
If a teacher's out sick, I don't know if they are able to get it out that same day. But usually if it's a school-wide cancellation, it will be notified.
We've canceled tutoring one day because of a webinar we had to have, and we emailed parents to notify them. If a teacher's out sick, we're usually pretty good about taking on the other tutoring group if we can. The tutoring might just have to start after dismissal at 3:20 since there's not enough coverage there. But if we ever just have to flat out cancel it for whatever reason, yes, we would notify you via email.
But students have never left just wandering around. They always have supervision. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our last question so far from the live chat. Have you guys thought of any more questions?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So I was talking to Ms. Caron before we started, and she was mentioning that you were working on streamlining all of the class dojo and Facebook and all the different. This is our first year, and my fault, my bad. I'm overwhelmed with all the different feeds that I can get information from, and I feel like some of the information is slightly different depending on where you're looking. Not that the information is different, but there's different information on each feed. So is there a place that I can go to get like at least like a list of where I should be looking? I know you guys have done a really good job of communicating that. I've done a really abysmal job of tracking all that and like making sure that I'm informed.
I mean, any major information will usually be emailed out, so just make sure to stay updated on your email. Other things, you know, we'll put on Class Dojo, like upcoming events, just look for an email, but those flyers are usually emailed out as well. And you can always go to our Harmony site. I believe Miss Amani updates it pretty frequently, and so the information should be there as well.
Dojo, that's the one that I haven't looked at or gotten on yet.
When Austin first came to class, you got a paper with the information. I can resend it to you.
I'm sorry.
That's not a problem.
And that one's purely, well, not purely, but it's basically a way to track behavior in the classroom, and it's positive points only. So, like, if he's doing a good job helping a friend, he gets 2 points.
Yeah.
If he's doing a good job picking up the classroom without being
Yeah, I
asked, he gets
definitely
points.
need to be on that. I'm sorry.
And we kind of view, I know from myself at least, I use Class Dojo as like a reminder. So the information has already been sent out via newsletter or email, and the dojo is just a reminder of, hey, don't forget tomorrow is blah, 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 blah. But you will have already have been told the information prior via email.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. No, that's totally fine.
The Wednesday mail too is a great
Yeah.
resource
Yes.
for all the
Yes.
upcoming events.
Yeah, especially school-wide, because
Yes.
sometimes we won't send out if it doesn't have to do with first grade. A lot of times we might not send it out.
Okay.
So if you have any questions about maybe what a 5th grade's doing or something, Wednesday mail is a great place to look.
And the Instagram page doesn't have like information on it.
Well,
It's just
that's-
pictures
yeah.
of what they have been doing. So
And they're still there, so you can always go back.
Okay, I have a question. With the math, sometimes you send math practice home, the packets. Is it just for math, or do we get anything else? Because I never see anything else. So is it just math practice you send home? And how often do you do that? Because it's sporadic, kind of how it comes.
Yes, it's per unit. So whenever we
Okay.
switch to a new unit, I'll send home just the practice sheets. It's not homework. It's
Right.
just simply so that you know what we're doing, so you can practice at home with your student as well.
Okay.
So it's just whenever we switch to a new
New
unit.
unit, okay.
and some units are 9 lessons, and then some are only
Yeah.
3. So that's why it's kind of
It depends
Yeah.
on
not
how
weekly, but
Yeah.
you can't rely on every other Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right. That's correct.
We have another question from Candace. How can we stay updated with behavior or Class Dojo points and rewards? I noticed my son came home with a furry friends pass. Is there special days for them to use them or any time?
Do we know
So-
specifically whose class
I do.
Candace is?
Yeah,
Oh,
mine.
Candace is.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, you
I
can
know
answer
her.
this.
So with Dojo, if you get on, you can track your child's points at any time. You'll always see if they received a point. And then as far as the certificates, they come home, depends on when I'm able to get them out, but they're allowed to use them in the classroom whenever whenever I allow them to turn them in. So, and they can bring a stuffed animal if they got a furry friend, and then they can hand me the certificate, and then they can use it.
Another question, birthday recommendations. How do y'all prefer us to handle celebrating our little ones' B-days?
Okay, I can answer that question unless anyone else wants to. Okay. So the school policy is that it has to be a healthy choice only if you're providing a food, and that's the law because they're only allowed to have unhealthy snacks during those 4 designated party days. And so if you want to provide a food for your child to share with his classmates on his birthday or her birthday. Sorry. Just make sure it's a healthy choice, like string cheese, Go-Gurt, goldfish are fine, baked chips are fine, pretzels are fine, apple slices, something that's not high in sugar or fat content. And then you might want to check with your child's teacher ahead of time to make sure how many kids are in the class, because I know our numbers have been changing a lot recently as far as getting in new kids or kids withdrawing. Or if you want to just send a little goodie bag, a lot of times kids enjoy just getting a fun pencil to celebrate their friend's birthday. And we pass out the snack at the end of the day for them to eat or take home.
Welcome. I know you guys just came in. Do you have any questions for the first grade team?
No, at the moment.
Okay.
This is my first time about
Okay.
21.
Well, welcome. Any more questions from?
I'm sorry that you guys came in late. We kind of are getting to a point where I think we might have answered as much as we want to. Not want to, but as that we've had questions about. So if there's stuff that you miss, it will be repeated, correct? On YouTube,
Yes,
it
it'll,
stays
in about
the
2
same time.
days, the recording will be posted on the YouTube channel. So it'll be gone after I
So
turn
for
off the
everyone,
live, but
tell your friends.
Yeah,
I
and
want
that
to be
link
viral.
was emailed out as well, so you
Yes.
should have it in your email, the link.
yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Any more questions from you
I
guys?
have one kind of general
Yeah,
question.
absolutely.
I kind of felt like in kindergarten and a little bit in first, although it's gotten less so, I felt like there was a really big emphasis played on reading and writing and less so on math. Is there a reason for that? Is that just my imagination or? Okay.
I think
No,
that
that's
we
pretty
do
accurate.
put a lot of emphasis on reading because, like, word problems, if we weren't capable of reading the word problem, then we couldn't answer the math portion of it. Because there are so many rules that we're still learning in the reading side, there's so much ground to cover, and numbers to a certain extent are, concrete. We can understand it because it's manipulative, and we can do more with it and see more with it. And so it tends a little bit to be not less emphasized, but less time is actually spent on because there's so much more that has to be covered, because it does begin to be a lot more the center of focus, because it plays into the science side of things and even the social studies side of things more later on. And the reading, of course, is cross-curricular for sure.
Austin received junior Scrabble like a year ago, and his comment was, "I hate the letters."
Oh my gosh.
I hate the letters.
I
And
know.
then he can read is somewhat of a challenge sometimes. He, however, loves math, so I had to ask the question, and it's a good answer. But yeah,
Hey, if he loves math, try to find, there are books that are geared toward math, so there's some math themes that come through in some of those. And I know that I use Get Epic for reading as well as my own in my class, and you can do searches there to find text that actually will, if it's not 1 + 1 is 2, that board book type stuff, but it'll have stories that go with, so it's kind of engaging that math portion of your brain as well as getting the reading happening, which is always a good trick. If your kid is like, I hate reading, find something they're interested in, find text that goes with it.
Yep.
The kids will follow the interest.
He's been
so.
tolerating Charlotte's Web at night, so we're doing better.
That's a good story.
It is.
For sure.
Well, an example of a book that I did with my class when we were doing tally marks is called Tally O'Malley, and they love that story. And it's a fun literature book, but then it also teaches them how to use the tally marks, how to build a tally, a T-chart for the tally marks as well. So there's a lot of math literature out there that I think you would have a lot of fun with.
Yeah, and I can even send you a list. We have math books in our classroom, and I can send you some of those, some of those titles.
You guys are asking some great questions tonight.
I'm sorry, is that something we can access online? Some of that math stuff or reading that you guys mentioned?
Yeah.
The students can access SumDog from home, Myon, and iRead from home. Their username and password is the same for all of it, with the exception of SumDog also asks for a school code, which was sent home at the beginning of the year, but if for whatever reason we've lost information, we would send it out again.
I have a question. So, we started up with the Google Classroom and Alex and something. Will that be focused with first grade as well too, or is it just the upper grades that they're doing? They're working with that.
It's school-wide, and in first grade, we're still learning computer skills that will be benefiting the lessons that they're learning later on. So if they are, in science doing a matching thing or doing a research piece, they're capable of doing it because they are getting the building blocks now. Like, you know, even just mouse maneuverability, things like that, that you think, oh, this is easy, I could do this because you've been doing it just for a lot longer than your student has. So it just makes it where they're learning those basics so that when they are in the situation where they're needing to do research or things like that, they know where the home keys are. They get a computer specific class where they're learning, you know, typing and, like I said, mouse ability, because, you know, click and drag and resize and copy paste, all those type of tricks that we just use because we've been using computers for a lot longer are getting to where they're knowing those things, and then of course they can put those into place, but they're familiar with Google Classroom already.
Okay.
And we're incredibly lucky as a first grade team to have the touch screen Chromebooks, which are fantastic. However, we want to also teach them those computer skills when they don't have a touch screen in front of them. It's quite humorous when you take them into the computer lab and they're like, my picture's not moving. Why is this not happening? So we're, you know, teaching them how to use, like she said, the shortcuts with the keys, how to go back on the internet and not get lost and confused, you know, how to X out of things and refine things. And so Google Classroom has been a slower start in the first grade realm than it has been in the older grades, but that's because we're still kind of learning the computer basics. And Alex isn't used at our grade level.
Okay.
They adopted the programs, the Sum Dog, the My Own, and iRead for our grade level.
And this is only math.
Yeah.
You know, that's neither they even get a chance to start, because I know when my daughter was here in 4th grade, they didn't get a chance to use Alex and Google Classroom 4th and 5th. They didn't start until 6th.
Yeah, it's really going to help them
So
when
yeah,
they go
so she was
into
jealous. She was
our,
a little disturbed. She was like, "We didn't have this here. What happened?" I'm like, "Okay."
And they didn't have it when I was a kid either.
Yeah. So it's like,
Well, we're super lucky to be one-to-one
Like back
this
in the
year
Stone
too,
Age.
to be able to do things like
right,
that.
it is. Yeah.
It's always so humorous to me when they're like, it's taking forever. And I'm like,
I
if
know.
you knew how long it
Right.
took for the internet to work
Just have to
Right.
dial
just
up.
10 years ago. Here, let me play you this really fun sound.
Until you thought about playing the dial-up for them.
Right. Then you wouldn't be able to get phone calls, you know. We have another question from our live chat. Do y'all need books? If so, what kind of books are preferred? And it says, Kingsolver, my little one, just got into chapter books via Dogman series. What books do y'all find essential for this age?
I think the Dogman series they really have gravitated toward, but that is one that is a graphic novel. So there's more picture, and they do like that idea that I'm reading a chapter book. So that's a really nice confidence booster. But I also think that encouraging some of the other books too. I don't want to say discourage chapter book reading, but also to encourage others as well, because sometimes you just need a littler read so that you can finish that comprehension side, that kind of thing. But the Dogman series has been a favorite, and a lot of the graphic novels too.
I mean, I know in my classroom we read a lot of Pete the Cat books. That's a favorite. The Biscuit books, if they're on a lower reading level, are wonderful books. If they can read higher books, I have the entire Junie B. Jones set, and they seem to love those. Magic Tree House.
Ivy and Bean is a really good one too. Chapter books are tricky at this age because while some of those kids can read all the words, sometimes the content isn't great for this age level. So if you want some more ideas based on your child's specific reading level, that would be a great question for conferences, or even shoot an email. But I mean, I know myself, we would always love more books. Like I know that's how the question started. We get a lot of free books through Scholastic, through parents ordering, and then it gives us points that we can buy free books for our classroom. But I've also had parents donate books that their kids have just read 25 times and they're over it. But other kids love to read it too.
Yeah, those step into reading books are really nice because they can get them in their current characters and things like that. And they're like, oh, I love Lego, so I'll read this book. And it is, you know, again, that interest thing where they're like, oh, I love Lego, so I'm going to pick this up and try to read it. And that sometimes is a hurdle that kids are struggling to get over because they're overwhelmed because reading honestly is like a skill. It is a mountain and coming very slowly coming up. So
Well,
it's
we
amazing
all-
to see that.
We always take time in our day to have the kids read books, so every day they're reading. So books are always great and needed.
The National Geographic Kids series are incredible books. You can always find them at half price books from anywhere to $1 to $2, and in great condition. But they have tons of amazing nonfiction ones that focus on sea otters or volcanoes or tornadoes or snakes, and it piques that child's interest other than just a make-believe story. And they're really good about like including little bubbles of facts throughout the story, but the main text is very kid-friendly.
And they love the animal ones.
Oh yes, I definitely love those nonfiction. We tend to say, oh yeah, we need all these readers, but they really are enjoying the nonfiction. I know all of my science books get snapped up pretty quickly. So.
Any more questions from the audience? So far, no, pretty good. Okay, do you guys have any last things you guys want to say before we wrap up?
Oh, just another thing about jackets and things. I know it'll be cold one day, warm the next day, and then cold again. It's really hard to gauge when your child's going to need their big coat and their little coat. So I don't know if you want to keep track of that so that you're sending at least a light jacket. Because I've known some days that we'll have a kid come in no coat and it's too chilly to wear no coat, but it's not too chilly to go outside. So just kind of be aware of that so that everybody can get to go outside, because we do have that spring fever already kind of starting to peek in.
And a lot of jackets and stuff are looking the same. So it's helpful if you write at least your child's initials on the tag, because then if it gets abandoned on the playground or in the cafeteria, we can at least kind of decipher, okay, what first grader has the initials of CL, and figure out where it belongs. And just another reminder too, I know we did this on the last Access Night and it's on my newsletter every week, but if you are sending a snack with your child, you don't want your child to be disappointed during snack time for bringing Oreos. It's, again, the school rule that they have to have a healthy choice. So please make sure that you're providing a healthy choice and that it is a snack. Sometimes we have kids that are bringing like a feast, and I don't know if it's because they're not eating it at lunchtime and they're saving it for snack, but they're only given 10 minutes for snack time. So eating chicken tenders and a side of rice and green beans isn't very feasible in the 10-minute
And
allotted time.
also, no peanut butter
Yes.
or nuts like that.
We have a lot of nut allergies in first grade.
Well, if that's everything, we do have a thank you from Erica. She said thank you. This was very helpful. So,
Give us a thumbs up.
yes,
Like and subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, share
yes,
the page.
like the video.
Like down
Share
below.
with your friends.
Yes. They need more likes than third grade.
Yeah, definitely. We want to be the most popular. So definitely share with your friends. We love Facebook. Go ahead.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us in person and online, and thank you to the awesome first grade team. So thanks and have a great night, everyone. You guys want to say bye? Do you want to wave bye?
Bye.
Okay.
Is there like a freeze frame there or?